Every family has a story, and this one begins in a small village, nestled between the rolling hills of Africa. The sun rises early here, casting its golden light over humble homes made of mud and thatch. Among these homes lived Mama Aisha, a widow and mother of 3. Now Mama Aisha wasn't just any woman. She was a pillar of strength in her community. Her husband had passed away many years ago, leaving her to raise their children alone. Life wasn't kind to her, but she faced every challenge with grace and determination. From sunrise to sunset, Mama Aisha worked tirelessly, fetching water from the river, cutting firewood, and selling maize at the market. All her sacrifices had one goal: to give her children a better life. Education, she would say, is the ladder out of poverty. But her youngest son, Tunde, wasn't convinced. He often asked, "Mama, what's the point of education if it takes forever to make money? Look at us, we work so hard, yet we have nothing." Mama Aisha would smile and reply, "Patience, my son. The slow antelope drinks first at the river, but quenches its thirst for longer." But Tunde wasn't listening. His heart was growing restless. Life in the village was hard, and Tunde felt the weight of their poverty more than his siblings did. His older sister Zainab was content helping Mama Aisha with chores, and his brother Ayo had left for the city to work as a mechanic. But Tunde, he dreamed of more. He watched as other boys in the village wore new clothes, carried shiny phones, and strutted around like kings. They didn't fetch firewood, they didn't sell maize, yet they seemed to have everything. "Why can't we be like them, Mama?" Tunde asked one evening, his frustration boiling over. Mama Aisha sighed. "Not everything that shines is gold, my son. Do not envy what you do not understand." But Tunde didn't want to hear riddles. He wanted answers, solutions, money. And that desire began to grow into something dangerous. One day, while walking to the market, Tunde ran into a group of older boys. They were the ones everyone whispered about, the ones who always had money but no jobs. "Tunde," one of them called, "why do you always look so miserable? You know, you don't have to suffer like this." Tunde hesitated but walked closer. "What do you mean?" The boys laughed. "Life is simple," one of them said. "You just have to take what you need. Who's going to stop you? The world belongs to the bold." "But stealing is wrong," Tunde replied, though his voice lacked conviction. "Stealing?" the boy sneered. "We call it surviving." The words planted a seed in Tunde's mind. He didn't agree with them, not yet. But when he returned home that evening to see his mother struggling to count a few coins for their dinner, that seed began to grow. It happened on a quiet night. The stars were out, the village was asleep, and Mama Aisha had gone to bed early after a long day of work. Tunde sat outside, staring at the small wooden chest where his mother kept her savings. He knew what was inside, enough money to pay for his school fees and maybe buy a little extra maize for the next planting season. But in that moment, Tunde wasn't thinking about school. He was thinking about the life he could have in the city, the new clothes, the shiny shoes, the respect. His hands trembled as he opened the chest and took every coin. His heart raced, but he told himself it was for the best. He left the house before dawn, not even leaving a note behind. When Mama Aisha woke up and saw the empty chest, she fell to the ground. Her heart broke, not just because of the money, but because of what it meant. Her son, her baby, had betrayed her. Tunde arrived in the city feeling excited and nervous. At first, life seemed amazing. He bought new clothes and shoes, ate food he had only dreamed of, and even made friends with the flashy boys from his village. But the city is a place of illusions. The money didn't last long. Tunde soon realized that life in the city was expensive, and his new friends weren't as loyal as they seemed. "Borrow some money," one of them suggested. "You can double it in no time." But Tunde's debts piled up quickly, and when he couldn't pay, the loan sharks came looking for him. They weren't kind. One night, after being beaten and thrown out of his rented room, Tunde found himself sleeping on the streets. He was cold, hungry, and filled with regret. The shiny life he had dreamed of had turned into a nightmare. Back in the village, Mama Aisha's life had become even harder. People whispered behind her back. Her own son stole from her. Imagine the shame. But Mama Aisha didn't let their words break her. She kept working, kept praying. "Bring him home, safe and changed," she whispered every night. "Show him the right path, even if it takes pain to get there." Her faith never wavered. She believed that one day, Tunde would return. Tunde eventually reached his breaking point. He was tired of running, tired of suffering. So with nothing but the clothes on his back, he returned to the village. When he arrived, it was sunset. The sky was painted with shades of orange and gold. He walked slowly toward their hut, his heart pounding. Mama Aisha was outside, weaving a basket. When she saw him, she froze. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Tunde fell to his knees. "Mama," he said, tears streaming down his face. "I've failed you. I've failed myself. I don't deserve your forgiveness." Mama Aisha knelt beside him and held his face in her hands. "My son," she said, her voice trembling, "you have hurt me deeply. But a mother's love is stronger than pain. Come home." Forgiveness wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. Tunde had to earn back the trust he had lost, and it wasn't easy. Some neighbors still whispered about him. Others refused to speak to him at all. But Tunde worked hard. He helped his mother with her business, fixed broken fences for neighbors, and even started a small garden to grow extra food. Slowly, people began to see the change in him. Years later, Tunde saved enough money to open a small shop in the village. On the day of the grand opening, Mama Aisha stood by his side, smiling with pride. "Mama," Tunde said, handing her the first profit he had earned, "this is for everything you've done for me. Thank you for never giving up on me." And Mama Aisha, with tears in her eyes, replied, "A mother's love never gives up. It bends, but it never breaks." This story isn't just about Tunde and Mama Aisha. It's about all of us. It's about mistakes, forgiveness, and the power of love to heal even the deepest wounds. What would you do if you were in Mama Aisha's shoes? Could you forgive? And if you were Tunde, would you have the courage to face your mistakes? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, remember, family is our greatest treasure, and love is the key to redemption.